I'm just gonna Oh, when that comes on,
Yeah.
that means that someone's already there. You can access. Okay. Oh, actually, I'm taking one. So once you're ready, you can just hit admit all.
Yeah, I'll just hit admit all.
Okay.
Now they can hear me, right? Hi, everyone. My name is Pat, and I am the Executive Director of Safe Moves. And as soon as we have some more participants, we'll get started. But I want to thank you guys for taking the time to join the show today. And as you can see behind me, the name of this show is the Pedestrian Safety Show. And we'll give about, about 1 more minute and we'll get started. So hang tight, guys. I'm going to ask my assistant what time it is. What time is it, Martha? It's 11 o'clock, so we can get started. I just want to kick off the show by telling you that this is part of the Alameda County Safe Routes to School program. Now, even though people aren't walking to school today, we are walking when we're in our neighborhoods, and we'll soon be going back to school, and everyone will be walking and biking and carpooling to school, we hope. But today we're going to talk about just pedestrian safety. And I want to let you know that the program is funded by the Alameda County Transportation Commission with Measure B funds with one goal in mind, and that is to keep you safer when you're out walking, riding, and rolling to school or anywhere else you want to go to. So we're going to learn all that today, and this is the way it works. I'm the host of the show, of the Pedestrian Safety Show. You are the contestants. And at the end of my show, I'm going to give you a chance to enter a contest to win a bicycle, a helmet, and a backpack. Now, depending on how old you are or how tall you are or your favorite color, I will get you a bike that you like once we choose a winner from all the quizzes that we receive. So at the very end of the show, I'm going to explain to you how you can enter the contest by taking a short quiz. And you can take the quiz with your brothers and sisters. You can go online and Google the answers if you want. All I care about is that you take the quiz and you learn a little bit about pedestrian safety and how to be safe when you're walking in your neighborhood and soon to be, we all hope, walking to school. So if we're all ready, we're going to get started. And our first slide is going to talk about what is a pedestrian. Now, a pedestrian really is a fancy word for somebody who walks. And we all walk, if we are walking to school, we're a pedestrian. If we walk to the beach or in the park, we walk to the library to go get ice cream. We're always a pedestrian when we are walking. And walking is a great exercise. A lot of people think walking is oftentimes just for transportation, and it is. Walking to school, you're using your feet as your form of transportation. And when you walk to the store, you're using your feet as a form of transportation, but it also is great exercise. Walking will keep you strong, will keep you healthy, and you get to be outside enjoying some fresh air. And plus it's fun. You get to walk. When you're walking, you're looking around, you're seeing other people, you're seeing other things. And if you're lucky, you get to see some dogs and cats and a bunch of your friends. So walking is a great way to not only get to and from school, but to get exercise. It also means if you're walking, that means you're not in the car. And cars can cause air pollution. So if we're walking more, that means there's one less car on the street. So just think about all the friends you know, and think if everyone walked to school, how many cars wouldn't be at school that day? It would be people walking. So think about that. So if you can walk to the store, you should walk to the store. If you can walk to your friend's house when shelter-in-place order is finished and things are back to normal, you can walk everywhere you want within reason. But to be a safe pedestrian, there's some things that we need to know. So I'm going to show you all those things, and we're going to start off by looking at some pictures of all different kinds of pedestrians. This is one of my favorite photos. Mom and her son are walking to school, and here's Dad walking to school, and he's managed to gotten Dad to carry his backpack, so that's a pretty good deal. But you can see they're really enjoying themselves. Here's some more people walking to school. They're staying on the sidewalk and holding hands, which is really important when you're with your grown-up, to hold hands on the sidewalk and also when you're crossing the street. Here's another good picture I like, and you can see they're walking in the crosswalk and everybody is looking for traffic. You can see the boy's eyes looking for the cars coming, and mom's watching her son to make sure that he's extra safe. But the most important thing here is they're walking in the crosswalk and they're also holding hands. And I also want you to look at the bright colors that he's wearing and the bright colored jacket that mom's wearing. So the brighter you are, the more often cars are going to see you better when you stick out. If you were wearing dark colors, you would blend into the forest and the trees and the cars wouldn't see you as well. So always think about wearing bright colors. And I also want you to look down at their feet to make sure their shoelaces are tied. Very important when we're walking that our shoelaces are tied so we don't trip. So take a good look at that and remember that for your own self when you're taking your walk. Here's somebody a little bit older than you walking to school. He's got his backpack on, he's got his lunch there, and he's coming up onto a driveway. Now, hopefully he's looking down right now, you can tell by his head, but when he gets to that driveway, I bet you he's gonna look up and look both ways before he crosses that driveway so he can make sure that he's safe. Look down at his shoes. Let's see if we can spot to see if his shoelaces are tied. Excuse me. Looks like they're tied. So he's being a pretty safe walker, except there was one thing that I would want to suggest to him, and maybe you can pick it out too. Bright colors. Excuse me. So wearing bright colors could make him more visible to the drivers. Here's another pedestrian. Now he's paying attention, I think, but he's got his earbuds on. And sometimes when you're walking with earbuds and with your phone, you're a distracted pedestrian. You're not paying attention as much as you should be when you're walking. First of all, with earbuds on, you can't hear the cars coming, and he can't hear if someone is beeping the horn at him, and he can't hear if someone's coming up behind him on a skateboard or a rollerblade or a bicycle. And if you're looking at your phone when you're crossing the street, you certainly are not looking for the cars. Here's a lady, she's a pedestrian even though she's got her dog. Looks like her dog has a sweater on there and being extra careful. He obviously wants to have his picture taken, so he's turned around and looked. But she's walking on the sidewalk with her dog. Now, the thing I always try to remember about walking on the sidewalk when someone has a dog, first of all, if I don't know that dog, I'm gonna walk a little further away from the people with the dogs in case they want to come over and get to know you, but maybe that's not such a good idea when you're walking on the sidewalk with a dog you don't know. So give people walking dogs a little bit of path to go by. And if the dog does stop, you ask the owner always if the dog is friendly and may I touch your dog. It's important to ask mom and dad who you're walking with, can you touch the dog? So we're just being polite, but we're also being very safe. Here's a picture of someone who has a lot of dogs that they're walking. So you'd want to make sure that you gave this person a lot of room and you didn't get tangled up on her dogs when you're walking. Here's my favorite picture. I don't know how many of you have ever seen a chicken walking, but this man thinks so much of his pet chicken that he's taking chicken for a walk. Now, I don't know if chickens always walk in a straight line, and they probably don't. That's why we have to keep an eye on the chicken when we're walking on the sidewalk in case they walked in front of us and we got tangled up. Now you can see the bike rider over there. A lot of bike riders are not allowed on the sidewalk with the pedestrians, so that's something we have to be careful of, chickens and bike riders on the sidewalk. Here's someone walking their cat. It's a nice leash on. Be very careful when you're walking around cats. You could get tangled up in that leash because sometimes cats like to go left and right, not only straight and forward, but you could get tangled up. And also, if you wanted to pet the cat, always ask the owner and make sure you ask mom and dad. Now, it's really important that you remember that people should always have their pets on a leash. If you should be walking and you see a dog that is not on a leash, it's very important that you don't run from that dog, but to stay still with your grown-up and let the dog either go away or maybe come up and sniff you. But if you ran away, I think the dog may want to think you're playing or he may chase you. So it's really important. And if you see somebody who's let their dog out all the time without a leash, mom and dad need to go talk to that owner and remind them that dogs have to stay leashed so you can have a nice, safe walk. Now, some parents are out walking with their kids. Here's a stroller. The stroller is nice and skinny, so it doesn't take up the whole sidewalk. But you want to be very careful when you're walking in case there are parents out walking their kids in the stroller, and give them some area to go by when you're taking your walk. Oops, sorry guys, I just clicked out of that. I have to have Martha help me here. Press the button wrong one time, and that's the end of it. Here we go. Hold on, she's going to come over here and fix it for me. There we go. All right. So we've gone the cat, we've seen the stroller, we're going back. I'm going to go forward here. There we go. Now, walking is the best thing to do in Halloween. You get the most candy when you're walking from house to house, but pedestrian safety is really important even when you're walking for Halloween. Now, I bet you can pick out the safer costumes. The brighter you are, the better you are. Back here, Dracula and the Witch may not be the bright colors you should be wearing when you're walking. Here's some bright trick-or-treaters. Always go with your parents when you're trick-or-treating. We all know that it's safe. Walking with Santa Claus. He's got a nice bright color on. Everyone's holding hands, taking a walk, and they're all on the sidewalk. Here's some people walking to the park. It's a big, nice sidewalk, and these are pedestrians taking advantage of the football day at the park. Now, because of what's going on, a lot of us can't go to the park because they're closed. But when you're walking as a pedestrian, you want to remember that you don't want to touch railings or fence or water fountains when you're on your walk. And that's probably one of the reasons that they're closing parks. But if you have a park in your neighborhood and it's open, it's always a great place to walk. Now you walk in you may drive the car to the store, but you're walking in the parking lot. You can see she's helping Mom unload the groceries. So when you're walking in the parking lot, stay close to Mom's grocery cart. You stay very close to Mom when she's walking in the parking lot, because there are cars that are backing out of the parking spot and pulling into the parking spot. And they may not see you because they have one goal in mind. That's to find a parking spot and get into the store. So they may not see you if you're not walking with your Mom. And you can tell Mom is a lot taller than you are down there. So the cars can see her, but they wouldn't be able to see you. So that's really important that you stay close when you're walking. Now, there's adventures in walking. Most of us walk to school on sidewalks, but some kids around the world walk in very adventurous places. And you can see some kids here, they're walking it over, it looks like a glacier to get to school. So they're pretty determined to get across there and get to school. There's another picture of kids crossing a river getting to school. So that's pretty dangerous, but they're seeming to hang on there. They've got their book bags. Here's some more kids walking to school. And every time I see these pictures, I always think how much school means to them, that they would try to get to school this way. Now, zip lining to school would be kind of a fun thing to do, but doing it every day, that would become a real adventure, I think. Here's some kids walking across a bridge that looks like it's made out of trees. And these kids wear a uniform going to school, and they're paying attention. I think the person at the very end is their grown-up, but I'm sure a grown-up was with them because a grown-up had to take the picture. You see they're crossing a creek and a very beautiful bridge, but they're paying attention and they're being safe. Here's another family getting to school. He's actually riding a donkey to get to school, hanging on to his donkey on a very high mountain. Here's some kids going across a mountain ledge to school. You can see they all have their backpacks on. And the second person in line looks to me to be their grown-up, so they know that they're all walking together because they're safer in numbers and they've got their grown-up with them. Here's a parent and a young girl walking across a snowy bridge. And again, they're going to school, so that's their adventure. Here's some schoolgirls going to school. They've got to cross over a little bit of a gully, and they're paying attention. There's their grown-up. But just think how important school is to them, that they would always walk in sometimes very dangerous places to get to school. And here's some other kids walking to school. You can see them barely on an edge of the mountain. They're all staying close together. There's their grown-up helping them get across. And here's our walk to school. Sometimes it's full of cars, full of parents getting you ready to go home, and it's very crazy because there's cars everywhere. So that's why when we walk to and from school, that we need to pay attention to those cars to make sure that they're not anywhere near us or make us unsafe. So stay with your parent and always have a place to hang out with so you can meet your parents so you're not standing in the street. So it's you and your mom and dad making a plan. Where are you going to pick me up if you're going to pick me up in the car? But if you were walking to home, you would stay on the sidewalk. You would never be in the street like this. So it's very important that everybody work together after school and before school to make sure that kids are always staying safe. And now, where are we supposed to walk? We don't have to walk on the mountain or over rivers. We have to walk on sidewalks. And here's a picture of a nice sidewalk in a neighborhood. So that's where we're going to stay when we walk. Here's a city sidewalk. Now, the things I wanted to point out to you on the city sidewalk is the rain grates. Now, sometimes rain grates can get very slippery when it rains, and sometimes they collect trash. So you want to make sure that you glance down once in a while to make sure where you're stepping. And over here by the garden where the trees are, you want to kind of stay away from that so you don't trip. But you and mom and dad can take a nice walk down a city street and keep your eyes open. Sometimes people will coming out of the store carrying packages, and they won't even see you until it's too late. So keep your eyes open when you're walking on the sidewalk where there's stores. Let's see what we have next. Now, this is a very interesting sidewalk. Now, the reason I think it's interesting is there are bushes blocking your eyesight to what's behind that purple bush in the very end. Could it be a car backing out of the driveway? Could it be a bike rider coming down the driveway? We don't know until we get closer. But sometimes if you don't pay attention to what's coming up, it could be too late to make the safe move. So look at that bush up on your right, and when you see that on your walk, you stop and you make sure you look to the right to see if anyone's coming down the driveway or if anyone's going to pull into the driveway. And this is a pretty busy street. You can see there's a lot of lanes of traffic, and so someone lives there. And so if they're parked, that's great. But if you look, you'll be able to see, and you'll be safer when you cross a driveway. Always want to look around anything blocking your view. Here's some people walking on the sidewalk. Now, if you were walking on this sidewalk and there were some people taking the entire sidewalk and the stroller and another pedestrians walking, you could stand off to the side and let them go by. It's probably a lot safer than going around them on the grass or trying to go through them. So just step aside and let them go by, because we all have to learn how to share the sidewalk so we're a lot safer. And we can just have a better walk when we're a little bit courteous to everyone else. Here is our safety program. We take our little miniature city around to all the schools, and we set up in the school playground, and kids learn how to practice safety. And you can see the traffic light over there. That's actually a person in the traffic light, and the kids get to take their picture with the traffic light after they finish. Now I want to go back because that's my daughter, Nora. She is teaching, oops, I'm sorry, let me go forward here. She's teaching traffic safety, and she has her hands up to tell them something very important. And I bet you guys can guess what she's telling them. She's telling them to stop, because straight ahead is the crosswalk. And Nora is telling them to stop, look, and listen. And those are the three words that I want you to remember all the time. And if you're sitting with me now, I want you to put your hands up like Nora has and say the word stop. Now take your fingers and point to your eyes and say, look. And now the last thing you need to do is take your fingers and wiggle your ears all around and say, listen. So it's stop, look, and listen. You don't want to say it too fast, because if you do, you're not really stopping, looking, and listening. But you don't want to do it too slow, because you'll end up staying at the corner forever. So when you stop and you look and you listen, that means you're stopping for the traffic at the curb. You're looking left, right, straight ahead, and behind you, all four ways, and you're listening for the noises all around you, whether it be the car coming, a car beeping, or your grown-up telling you what we're going to do next when you cross the street. So remember, stop, look, and listen, and you're always going to be safer when you're a pedestrian walking on the sidewalk. And Nora loved her job. She loved talking to kids. She loved being with the kids. and it was one of her favorite things to do. Now, when we're walking on the sidewalk, eventually the sidewalk ends. We have to go someplace. The sidewalk doesn't go forever all the way to school or all the way to the store. The way we get across the street is crosswalks. Now, this is a picture of 4 crosswalks. Now, the yellow stripes indicate that's where the crosswalk is. The crosswalk mostly are at the corner. Once in a while, you'll see a crosswalk in the middle of the street. But if you can, always cross at the corner, because cars are always looking for people on the corner. Not as closely as we would like them to, but they tend to slow down at the corners because there's a stop sign or a traffic light. But the crosswalk doesn't mean that's a free pass to get across the street. It means it's a designated place for you to cross the street with your grown-up. Now, some crosswalks are all different colors. There's white ones, there's yellow ones. Some cities have designs painted in the crosswalk, and it's all designed to get the drivers to pay attention. And you can see these cars are driving over the crosswalk. There aren't too many people crossing today. They seem like they're far away from the crosswalk, but that's where we would go to cross the street. And let's see, how many do you find? I see 4. So I'm hoping that you see 4 too, because if you're looking, there's 1 to the left, right, and forward and back. So there's 4 corners and there's 4 crosswalks. Here's some different color ones. Here's a white one. And these lines, I call them a ladder crosswalk because they look kind of like a ladder. You're climbing the ladder to get across the street. And you can see, I can actually, in this picture, I can only see 3, but I think there's 1 over to the right. And the truck is turning left, and there's no one in the crosswalk as far as I can see. But that's something that when we're at the corner, that we'd be looking for those cars coming and going, left, right, front, and back, all 4 ways. And you can remember to look all 4 ways. When you know there's 4 crosswalks, 4 corners, you look 4 ways. And I know you know those 3 safety words, so let me hear you. I can't really hear you, but I'm hoping that you're saying that you stop, you look, and you listen when you're at the corner at the crosswalk. Here's another crosswalk. This isn't at an intersection. This is actually at, whoops, sorry guys, let me go forward here. This is actually at middle of the street. Now, this is a crosswalk that has an island, and the reason they have an island over here is that the street is so wide that you may not make it all the way across in one walk. You may have to stop in the middle of the island and wait for the cars to go by. It's really important that over there to the left on the pole, you see the push button. Now, when you come to a push button with your grown-up, and during this time of being sheltered in place and being very careful about what we touch, have your grown-up touch the pad with their elbow or a glove or a piece of paper, whatever they have, but we shouldn't touch it with our hands until things are safer. So make sure you remind your grown-up, don't touch the button with their fingers, but use their elbow. Now, before you cross this crosswalk, you definitely be looking for cars coming, both left and right. You don't have to look forward and back because there's no other streets. It's just left and right. And you watch the signals as you watch. And get up on the island right over there where it looks like a sidewalk, and you wait for it to be safe again before you cross. Really important to pay attention. Here's another ladder crosswalk, and this seems to be in the middle of the street too to help people get to the park. You've got the white lines and the yellow lines. But look how close that car is to the crosswalk. We would never start to cross the street if we saw a car coming. We would always wait until the cars go. I don't see any pedestrian crosswalks here. So this is a crosswalk that's called an uncontrolled crosswalk. That means there's no signs to help us. That means that we really have to pay attention to our grown-up who's walking with us, and we really have to watch for the cars. So we wait for there to be no cars before we cross. And the thing to remember, even though you're in the crosswalk, it doesn't mean you're safe. It means that that's where you should walk. You still have a responsibility to look around and make sure there's no cars coming. Now, your grown-up's going to be looking for the cars, but it's really important that you look too, because 4 eyes are better than 2. So if your grown-up's looking and you're looking, that means we have 4 eyes watching out for the cars. And you can be a really great help to your grown-up to make sure that you're looking for cars too. Here's another crosswalk. This is kind of a plain crosswalk. And I wonder if anyone can tell me, what is this crosswalk missing? Can anyone figure that out? Well, I think they're missing the stripes in the middle, because these are just two white lines telling you that you should walk in the crosswalk. But these aren't as visible to the drivers, so we have to extra attention. And you can see the crosswalk little man up there with the arrow pointing down to remind you, only cross in the crosswalk. And that sign is also for the drivers to say, listen, people could be crossing, so stay off your phone, pay attention, because people are trying to cross the street. And you can see the stop sign over there telling the cars to stop. But again, it's up to us to keep our eyes open and make sure that we only cross when it's safe. Now, we're not the only ones that cross at the crosswalk. We have a turtle crossing. It's going to take him a long time to cross, so hopefully no cars are coming. We have a family of, I think it's geese and her chicks are crossing the street right in the crosswalk. How they need to do that, I will never know. But they are staying in the crosswalk, and you can see the mom goose, she's pushing her little ducks to make sure that they stay in front of her so she can keep an eye on them and they'll safely get across the street. Here's some other animals crossing the crosswalk. There's a camel, an elephant, and a giraffe all paying attention, crossing the crosswalk. And people who are pushing their babies, going for a scooter ride, and going for a nice walk are in the crosswalk. They're paying attention, walking and looking around. Now, the reason I wanted to show you this slide is because this is what we teach in our safety program. You can see the crosswalk man there, and you can see the boy who is looking at the bus, and he knows there could be a car coming behind that bus. So he's gonna get closer to the edge of that bus, and he's gonna look to see if there's anybody coming. And can everyone see the red car? The red car doesn't see the boy. So I am hoping that that red car is gonna stop. But if that red car decided he wasn't going to stop because he didn't see anyone on the street, there could be a crash. But the boy's watching and paying attention. So the red car hopefully will stop and see the boy too, and everyone will stay safe. Now, this is what a crosswalk looks like from kind of higher up. And what you can see is there's one intersection, two intersections that are missing a crosswalk. Can you see which ones that are missing a crosswalk? That's right. The one at the top and one over to the right. The one with the yellow car doesn't have a crosswalk, and the car, the blue car doesn't have a crosswalk. So we know where we would cross, but in real life, sometimes corners don't have crosswalks. So that's why we always cross at the corner and pay extra attention. But if you have a choice, always cross in the crosswalk. Really important to remember that. And I'm sure you guys remember the 3 safety words before you cross. Stop, look, and listen. All right, here's some more people practicing really safe behavior. Hold on, I'm sorry guys, this is going. Bear with me. Hang on tight, I'm gonna go back. Now you're getting some extra slides here. I'm going to ask my assistant to come over here one more time to help me figure out why my slides are going the wrong direction here. Oh gosh, I want to go forward, not backwards. I can't get it to do it. Oh, there you go. Oh, thank you guys. Bear with me a little bit. Oh gosh, now I've done it. Hold on one second. All right, I apologize. I tell you, it's being technical. I'm a great safety teacher, but sometimes working the computer is a real challenge for me, so hang tight. We're getting back here. You're getting an extra view of all my slides here. All right, here we go. Anyway, here's some family walking across the crosswalk. This is such a great picture because everyone is having a great time. You can see everyone has their backpacks on, they're walking with their grown-up. The grown-up is holding hands, or all holding hands, and they're being very careful before they make their trip across the street. And I'm sure the grown-up reminded them to stop, look, and listen, and pay attention to the traffic signs. Now, here's my favorite picture. First of all, the kids look like they're having a great time. This is our program at school, and you may have gone to one of our programs. We may have even visited your school. So this may look very familiar to you, but anyway, here are the kids at the crosswalk, knowing they can't cross the railroad tracks because the railroad sign is down. And look who's behind them helping. It's the stop sign costume. And one of the things we always teach the kids when we get to railroad tracks, I bet you can guess what it is. Stop, look, and listen. Now we're going to talk about some signs, all right? One of my favorite signs is the red hand. That red hand says stop. When you're at the corner and you see that red hand, you know that red hand is telling you one thing. You need to stop, you need to look, and you need to listen. It's not saying hi, and it's not saying walk across the street. It's only saying stop. You need to wait until it's safe to cross the street. You see the stop sign? Red means stop. You'll see that. Stop signs live at the corners telling people to stop, whether they're walking, riding their bike, or in their car. Now here's some kids who are practicing with their stop signs. They're all holding their stop signs, and they'll always remember what the stop sign means. We practice a whole day learning about what the stop sign means. And they would be able to tell you, if you asked them, what are the 3 safety words? They would say, stop, look, and listen. All right, so here we go. Next sign, the traffic light. Traffic light doesn't look like this in real life, but the colors are the same. The red's at the top, the yellow is in the middle, and the green's at the bottom. Red means stop. We all know that. We all know what yellow means. Yellow means slow down and get ready to stop. But sometimes cars see that yellow and they decide, oh my gosh, if I speed up, I can get through the intersection before the light turns. That's when it's dangerous. So remind mom and dad when they're driving the car, yellow means slow down and get ready to stop. We all know what green means. Green means go. But if we have a red light and we have the red hand, that's telling us to stop. So we have to remind that when we're walking. Now here's my favorite picture. You probably recognize her. That's Nora. And Nora and I, and that's me in the traffic light costume. I don't know if you can recognize me. But anyway, Nora and I were teaching pedestrian safety, and we had a break, so I decided to give my daughter a big hug. And she loves being hugged by the stop sign, as you can, the traffic light, as you can see. And here's another picture of mom and her son walking across the street. Now in real life, does the sign look like that? No, it doesn't look like that. But I wanted to make sure you saw that they're walking in the crosswalk with the walk sign. Now, here's my favorite sign. It's the crosswalk man. I tell everyone I teach, go ahead and stand up and make your body into that crosswalk sign. So if you're watching me now, I want you to stand up and make yourself look exactly like the walkman. And when you do, freeze and hold it. That's what the walkman does. He's telling you that you can walk across the street. Okay, you can relax and sit down again. But that's a really fun thing to do. In fact, when I was with my kids when they were younger, every time we saw that sign on the street, I would say, walkman, and they would turn their bodies into the little walkman and look like statues, and it was great fun to do. So you could practice that with your parent, and you could make mom and dad turn into the walk sign too when you're at the corner. Tell them to turn into the walkman, and then use their phones to take a picture of them. That would be great fun. All right, here's another good sign. It tells the drivers, hey driver, get off your phone, no putting on your makeup, no eating a burger or drinking coffee, pay attention because kids are crossing the street. And that sign is always yellow, and that sign means kids are walking, so it's really important that when mom and dad are driving that they slow down and get ready to stop for the crosswalk because kids are going to school. And that also is a sign that tells you where the crosswalk is so you can cross safely to school. Here's a railroad crossing sign telling the drivers and the bike riders and even us as pedestrians that we're getting ready to cross a railroad track, so we really have to pay attention. And I bet you could guess what are the 3 safety words that you should say when you see those red flashing lights on the crossing gate. Stop, look, and listen. Every single time. And that gate is telling you that you can't go across, and I think you can even see the train going by. So that's why we stay safely behind that crossing gate. We watch and we listen for the crossing lights, and when the train's coming, the lights are flashing red, and when the train is gone, the crossing gate goes up, the lights turn off, and the bell stops. But even then, before you cross the track, remind mom and dad to stop, look, and listen. And if you're walking with your parent crossing the railroad tracks, you would still stop, look, and listen. Really important to remember. Whoops, let's go back to this one. This is a push button. Now dad is pushing the button with his hand, but now with everything going on, dad should be pressing the button with his elbow or have a glove on. just to make sure that he's safe and not picking up any germs. And everyone's waiting at the crosswalk, and after the light change, and you can see over his shoulder, do you see the red hand? That's telling them that you can't cross. So Dad's pressed the button, and he's gonna wait until you see the little Walkman. And when you see the little Walkman, everybody can get ready to cross the street, but there's 3 things they have to do first, which is stop, look, and listen. They look to the left, they look to the right. Now, if they were at an intersection, they would look straight ahead and behind them. So they would be looking all 4 ways. So, so important. Now, here are some pictures of really safe behavior that we all can practice to make sure that we're safe. You've got the car backing out of the driveway, so you look left and right, only cross when it's safe. You would walk with your grown-up on the sidewalk. You would walk to the corner. There's Quinn, one of my teachers. He's waving to them so they can see the car coming. There's another picture of a student looking behind that truck to make sure there's no cars coming. And if you were older and you have mom and dad's permission, you can walk when it's getting dark, but you got to make sure that the cars can see you, and you can see that he's wearing reflective tape on his pants and his shirt. He's carrying a flashlight. But we only walk when it's safe, when mom and dad said it's okay, and when we're older. Here's some kids walking on the practice sidewalk with the chicken. They were practicing traffic safety with the chicken, and they had a good time. You can see them all standing on the sidewalk. Here's a great picture of what a fun time this family's having walking together. What a great time to talk to mom and dad when you're walking to school and looking around and being together as a family and getting exercise too. And here's some safe behavior by a giraffe who's looking to make sure it's safe to cross the street. And here is some unsafe behavior, walking by yourself until you're older. It is just not safe to walk by yourself until you're older and you have your parents' permission. You don't want to be playing by the sidewalk when cars are coming. You can see they're joking around. They're not stopping, looking, or listening. They're playing. And that's very dangerous on the sidewalk when there's cars so close. Here's some people walking on the sidewalk. Scooter riders should not be on the sidewalk because I think it makes it dangerous for pedestrians. So if you're on the sidewalk, keep your eyes open. Make sure that there's no scooter riders coming up behind you. Here's a girl running on the sidewalk. That's not very safe. Here's a young girl running across the sidewalk. It looks like her older brother is going to follow and not even looking to see if the car's coming. So running across the street is not safe. Now, I want to go over the 3 safety words with you again. Stop, look, and listen. Stop, look, and listen. Stop, look, and listen. And stop, look, and listen. So you remember those 3 words when you're getting ready to cross the street at the corner. Here's another stop, look, and listen. And here's another stop, look, and listen. So you can never, ever, ever go wrong by remembering those words. Stop, look, and listen. We could do that so many times when we're walking that would just make us safer. So I want you to practice that. Now, we're coming to the end of the show, and I want to thank you for spending your time with me. And I want to thank you for taking the quiz. Now, the quizzes are available at www.alamedacounty.sr2s.org. So I'm going to leave this slide up for a little bit so you can write that down. And also, when you take the quiz, go ahead and email the completed quiz to the email there listed in blue. And you need to submit your quiz by Monday, May 4th. And if you can, take a picture of this page, a screenshot of this page, and you can send it in with your quiz so we know that you watched all of the quiz, the webinar, which is really important to me to make sure that you're safe. And once we get all the quizzes, we're going to choose a winner, and we will announce the winner no later than June 1st, and we'll send you an email. And then I'll be able to find out how tall you are, if you're a boy, if you're a girl, and mom and dad can let me know your favorite color. And then when school's open again, I will get the helmet, the bicycle, and the backpack to you because you were the winner of today's webinar. And if you have any questions or concerns or want more information, go ahead and email us at the same email that's listed on the page. And I am going to let this stay up for a few more minutes so you can get all the information. So I told you a lot today, And it's a lot to remember, I know, but if you could remember 2 things, that would make me really happy, and then I would know that you're going to be safer. And those 2 things are stop, look, and listen. Always walk with your grown-up, and always have fun when you're walking to school and from school and in your neighborhood. But the most important thing to me and the people that love you is that you remember to stop, look, and listen. All right, thanks again. I enjoyed talking with you guys, and I hope you had fun at the safety show.
Yay! Good job.
Right on time.